Shalom uvracha. Giving tzedakah can be very difficult. This week's parasha, which is the primary source for the concept of giving tzedakah in the Torah, gives us a little bit of a hint as to why that's so, and a potential pathway as to how to overcome it. Let's pay attention to the words of the Pesukim in this week's parasha. The Torah tells us that when we have a poor person amongst one of our brothers, in one of our gates, in one of the places where we live, the Torah then says, Lo te'ametz et levavecha, lo tikpotz et yadecha ma'achicha havyon. Don't harden your heart and don't clench your hand from your brother who is the poor person, the destitute person. And then it says, Patoach tiftach, and naton titen lo, velo yera levavecha v'titecha lo. Open your hand. And then later it says, and surely give him, and your heart should not be difficult towards him. If you were paying attention, you noticed a very small pattern that appears in the Pasuk. When it talks about when we won't give to the ani, it starts by saying, don't harden your heart and don't clench your fist. But when it talks about what you should actually do and the prescription for giving tzedakah, it says, open your hand, give to him, and don't have a bad heart. And I think here we see how this works. You see, as we started with, giving tzedakah is difficult. If I am in a position to give tzedakah, I probably did some things right. I probably worked hard. I probably was in the right places, knew the right people, did the right things. In order for me to be able to have enough to give to other people, so I did something right. And if I'm looking at another person who needs the tzedakah, chances are they didn't do everything right and they didn't take all the steps that I take. And it's very easy for me to say, hey, if you would just do what I would do, you'd be in the same position that I'm in. But of course, that's not the view that the Torah wants us to take. The Torah is concerned about your heart. The Torah knows that not giving tzedakah comes from the inside. And therefore, it starts by saying, don't harden your heart, because it knows if you harden your heart, then you're going to tighten your fist. So when it says don't do it the wrong way, it starts with what's inside you, and it says don't harden your fist. So you might think that the answer as to how to overcome this difficulty, this problem, this challenge of perspective is to say, okay, so speak to your heart and say, no, give, be nice, and so on. But that's not what the Torah does. When the Torah gives the mitzvah, the Torah flips the order. Instead of saying, don't harden your heart, don't clench your fist, the Torah begins by saying, open your hand, give to him. And then it says, and don't harden your heart. Or I probably would say, and don't let your heart be hardened. And what the Torah is teaching us is a secret that we know has applied in many places in the Torah, that our hearts follow our actions. Even if the inside of our heart is saying, I don't know if I want to give this person, I don't know if that person deserves it, why don't you go do all those things that might be in our heart, all the hardness inside of our heart gets overcome when we open our hand. When we give, then all of a sudden, there's something about giving tzedakah that transforms the person. And this is one of the great messages of the Torah, is that your heart follows your actions. So take the right actions, and you'll not only be doing the right thing, you will be changed inside. You will no longer be a person who is hard-hearted. So, Rabotai, this is a very, very important message for us, especially now when so many people need our help within our community and in the world at large. It would be very easy for us, many of whom are in a blessed position, who Hashem has said, I'm going to take care of you. It would be easy for us to say, hey, I'm going to hold on to what I have because I've earned it. But the Torah tells us, don't say that. Open. And when you open your hand and when you give to others, what's going to happen is you're going to be transformed and you're going to be a better person, the best person that you could be, the type of person that Hashem wants us all to be. Shabbat Shalom.